Welcome to the Anxiety Connection. If you've ever struggled with anxiety and are ready to finally get some answers, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Wendy Leeds, and I've suffered with anxiety my entire life. Thankfully, I'm also a psychotherapist, and over the years, I've learned a lot about anxiety, where it comes from, and how to manage it. That's what this podcast is all about. So, let's grab a cup of tea and talk about it. Before we get started, I have two big announcements. First, I finally have the date for when my book, Common Sense, will be available. I am so excited. The big publication date is Monday, November 16th, 2020. And you know what I love about this? It's just before the holidays, and I'm going to be talking more about how difficult the holidays can be today. I am so excited that I now have this book that I can say we can both use this to help us get through the holidays. So I think the timing is just perfect. Even better news, the book is ready for pre-order right this moment, and you'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're listening to this after November 16th, 2020, the link is going to be in the show notes as well. Now, an even bigger announcement. We're throwing a party, and I am so excited that I get to invite you. I have to tell you that I actually was envisioning a big in-person launch for this book, Common Sense. This book has been in the works 6 years, and I just think that is worth celebrating, from the earliest idea to actually having it be a reality. But one of the benefits to these pandemic times is that can't have the in-person party, but I can throw a virtual gala. And that means I can invite you, even though it's going to be virtual and we have to do what we have to do. We're going to make this fun. We're going to be playing games, giving things away, and you and I will be able to engage during the party. If you're interested, I'm going to be sharing all of the party info through my email list. And if you're interested in coming, click on the link in the show notes to get on the wait list for the book. And we can get our party hats on and get ready to celebrate together. Cannot wait. Okay, that's some of my exciting good news. So let's get back to what's really in my heart today to talk about. Maybe you're feeling like so many of the people I talk to these days that you're really at the end of your rope. As I record this, we're still dealing with COVID, the isolation, the loneliness, the losses, the new ways of doing so many familiar things. It feels like everything is different these days. We're doing everything differently. And worst of all is the fear of what comes next, what lies ahead. How does this end? Does this end? And not only are we dealing with all those challenges and changes, we're now, as I said, heading into the holidays. I know traditionally this time of year is described as the most wonderful time of year, but I don't think that's true for most of us. I think the holidays can be really tough for people who are alone or grieving a loss. And they're just stressful and overwhelming for the rest of us. Trying to get it all done, trying to make sure you get everything you need and make everybody happy. And this year, on top of all that, we have the restrictions and worries about COVID. I truly believe these holidays may be the most difficult we have ever had to face. But whatever's going on with you, whether you're listening to this during the holidays or not, whatever kind of stress, whatever fear, whatever anxiety you're facing in your life right now. One of the best ways I know of to heal, to ease, to take care of that anxiety is to change the way you think about things, to change what you tell yourself about what things mean to you and to your life. Because here's the deal. When you change your thoughts, you change how you feel. And when you change how you think and feel on the inside, you not only feel better, but you can literally change your life on the outside. Today, I'm talking about something called reframing, which is simply the process of looking at the same facts from a different point of view. I'm not talking about changing the facts. You and I both know we can't change that diagnosis. We can't change that job loss or that deep sense of loneliness that sometimes overwhelms you. We can't change the things that make you lonely, the illness or the job loss. We can't change what's happening to us. But what we can change is what we tell ourselves about what's happening to us. If you wear glasses, you know how different the world looks when you put them on. Everything's clearer and more focused. It's those lenses. When you put on sunglasses, how the world actually seems to change color. Years ago, I had a pair of sunglasses with pink lenses. When I put them on, the world really did look rosier. But it wasn't the world that had changed. I hadn't changed. What had changed was the lens I was looking through. That's the idea of framing. The world doesn't change, you don't change, facts don't change. What you change is the lens you see the world through. Now, here's another way of looking at it. And this is for all you people who love numbers and statistics, which does not include me. That's for sure. Years ago, a teacher was explaining how it wasn't the facts or statistics that mattered. It's how we interpreted or looked at those numbers, the facts, the statistics. And she offered this example. Let's just say the United States and Russia both competed in a series of games, like the Olympics. And just those two countries. At the end, the United States came in first, Russia came in second. Those are the facts. The United States announced that they'd won, and the Russians had come in last. Russia announced that they'd come in second, and the United States had finished next to last. Same facts, same numbers, same information. What's changed is the way we interpreted or thought about those numbers. That's reframing. All right. So reframing is the process of looking at things differently. How the heck do we do that? I would love to get started by doing a little bit of an experiment together to sort of help you get the feeling of how reframing actually works. So together, let's do this together. If it's safe for you to do so, take a breath and settle for a moment. Now look around wherever you are and see how many things you can find in your environment that are wrong. Is there an irritating noise? Is there something smelly, something dirty, something broken? Is the weather miserable? Is it too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry? Is your chair or whatever you're sitting on too hard, too soft? How many irritating, ugly, unpleasant things can you come up with? 3, 6, 10, more? Who knew there could be so many crummy things in one place? All right, now as you focus on all those negative things around you, how are you feeling? Take a moment and really explore those feelings. If you're like me, you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed because as I look around, I'm thinking about all the things I should get up and change or fix or clean or do. Maybe you're feeling depressed or helpless, thinking about the things you can't fix or change. Maybe Focusing on the negative in your environment makes you feel just hopeless about your situation. You're stuck. You're lonely. There's no way out. All right, let's take a breath. Close your eyes for a moment and let those feelings just fade away. Okay. Now open your eyes and look around you again. But this time, see how many things in your environment are right. How many wonderfully, lovely, uplifting things can you come up with? Is there something that smells great? Some lovely breath of fresh air or something baking nearby? Is the sun shining? The temperature comfortable? Maybe you have some great music playing in the background. Are you sitting in your favorite comfy chair? Do you have something inspiring that you enjoy looking at, something you love close by to remember some wonderful memory? How many things did you come up with? 3, 6, 10? Who knew there could be so many wonderful things in one place? So let me ask you, as you're focusing on all those positive things around you, how are you feeling? Take a moment and really explore those feelings. Maybe you're feeling a little more optimistic. I know I am. Or you're feeling grateful for things you usually take for granted, like the feeling of the sun on your back or the smell of soup on the stove. Maybe you're feeling calmer, more relaxed, or you're feeling a little more energetic and ready to take some positive action. But I bet when you changed your focus from negative to positive, you changed the way you felt. Again, you're in the same place, you're the same person, but you're looking at your surroundings through a different lens. So I hope by now you have a really good idea of how reframing works. The next challenge is how to get started. Here's a simple 3-step process to help you do just that. Step 1, just start by thinking about the situation or challenge you're facing. Let me create an example of someone who might be dreading the holidays. Let's just say Maggie is heartbroken because she's not going to be with her family this holiday season. That's the challenge. Step 2, once you have the challenge clearly in mind, make a list of all the negative thoughts you have about it. Just like, remember, we looked around the room for negative things in your environment. This time you're going to look around and find the negative thoughts you have about that challenge. Here are some possible thoughts that Maggie might have about not seeing her family this year. This is not fair. I cannot believe this happened. I can't stand not seeing them this year. I miss them so much. I miss being a part of their lives and having be a part of mine. I am so lonely. I can't stand this. I am so afraid I'm going to die alone. How are you feeling as I describe Maggie's possible negative thoughts? Afraid? Worried? Anxious? I know I am. This is such a tough situation. All right, let's close our eyes for a moment. Take a breath, and we'll let those negative thoughts just fade away. Okay, open your eyes again. And just like we looked around the room with a different focus, let's change focus and look at some of Maggie's possible positive thoughts. All right, she might think something like, I can't see these wonderful people I love so much this year, but we can Zoom and we can FaceTime, and thank goodness for technology. I am so lucky to have such a wonderful family to love. I am looking forward to seeing them all soon. And when we're together, we are going to have such a wonderful celebration. I know this will end. I've been through tough times before. I can get through this. I won't be alone forever. I have so much to look forward to. As you listen to Maggie's possible positive thoughts, did you notice the shift in how you felt? More upbeat, calmer, happier? Me too. All right, that reframing, that's step 2. Reframing your thinking. Step 3 is when you actually do the reframing. And this is when you get to choose to do the actual act of reframing. You get to choose what you tell yourself about this challenge. And let me just take a moment. As an aside, I know this is hard to believe. This was a struggle for me. But here's the truth. You get to choose what you think. I know it just seems like our thoughts show up in our brains, just there they are. But that's not how our brains work. We get to choose what we focus on. We get to decide what things mean in our lives. We get to decide our thoughts. No one else can think for us. And that means that you have the power right now to choose to start thinking differently. This is within your power and your control. And you can choose what you focus on and what you think about. And you can choose to do that in a way right now that brings a new sense of calm and peace into your life. Let's look at Maggie and see how she reframed those beliefs with her new thoughts. And let's just say Maggie is going to choose to think, I am lucky to have such a wonderful family. Not everybody is that lucky. I am going to find as many ways as possible to keep in touch with them. And I am going to plan the best party ever when we finally do get together. Feel the difference? That's reframing. All right, what about you? Are you ready to start thinking about things in a new way? And maybe you're ready, but maybe you're not so ready. And maybe you're thinking, I bet you might be thinking, Wendy, I get this reframing. This is not my first rodeo. I get the fact that if I focus on positive thoughts, I will feel less anxious. And if I shift my thinking, I will feel better. I get that. But Wendy, if I could have done it, I would have done it. But as hard as I've tried, and I've tried a bunch, there is something that keeps me from letting go of this negative thinking, this loop of negative thoughts I think over and over. I get up in the morning determined that this is the day I start new. I'm going to focus on positive thinking all day long. But I have not yet had my first sip of coffee, and I'm already scaring myself with thoughts of all the terrible things that could happen throughout the day. I would love to choose different thoughts, but I just can't. What is keeping me so stuck? Great question. Believe it or not, these thoughts may be your inner being trying to protect you from all the scary things that might happen in the future. How do I know? I come from a family that believed we were tempting fate if we dared so much believe just the smallest possible positive outcome. We believed that and we were doomed. The belief I was holding on to was that if I allowed myself to imagine the best, I was just asking for disaster and disappointment to hunt me down. Maybe it's the same for you. But let me ask you, and let me ask me, is that true? Do our thoughts have any impact on the future? Not in my experience. I don't think so. I know from years of trying to keep myself safe by worrying as hard and as long as I could about what might happen, what I've learned is thoughts have almost no influence on the future. The future will unfold the way it does, no matter what we think. And let me assure you, hear this, it's now safe to let go of those thoughts of disaster and fear and give yourself the gift of fully enjoying all the joy and fun of this present moment. It's safe to let go. Or maybe you believe all that negative thinking helps you prepare for possible future disasters. I know this is true for a lot of people, or this is what they do. But let me challenge that. Is that true? Now, let me just say, I'm not talking about taking action. If you live somewhere where there are storms or a problem, or you have an ongoing medical condition, it makes great sense to do everything you can to be prepared by taking action, not by thinking about it. I'm not talking about action. I'm talking about thinking negative thoughts. In my experience, all of that negative thinking is nothing but a waste of time. And here's why. Over the years, I have found that no matter what disaster I'm busy worrying about, mentally preparing for, it's never what comes and gets me. My mom always used to say, the things that get you in life blindside you. And I found she's right. I worry about stuff. I'm a worrier, A to Z. If you don't worry enough, I worry for you. I'm a designated worrier. But I'll tell you, in all that worrying, international pandemic, not on my list. So if you want to be prepared, take action. But it's time to stop trying to protect yourself and your family, to keep everybody safe with your thoughts. It's time to believe that it's safe, to let go of those negative thoughts. And it's safe to bring in a positive reframe of the future. As I said, the future will unfold the way it does, no matter how hard or long you worry. It's time and safe to let go and to bring and find peace in your heart. Finally, it can just be a comfortable habit for us to think the worst. I know it sounds crazy, but we're so used to thinking those scary thoughts of fear and worry that it just feels normal. It's what we do. It's how we respond to the world. When something bad happens or something good happens, we worry. Oh, wait for the other shoe to fall. And it's surprising as it sounds, these negative thoughts, this negative loop of thinking, can be such familiar old friends that they actually give us a feeling of comfort. At exactly the same time, they're making us anxious and panicky. Habit. But just like any other habit that isn't serving you anymore, you can let it go. The trick is to remember, first of all, thinking isn't something you can control. You always, always, always have the power to choose the thoughts you focus on. And if you don't like those thoughts, you can change them. I know. Really easy to say. In my heart, I just feel like I'm saying it and you're thinking, oh, I don't think so. I know it's tough because the truth is our brains are hardwired to focus on negative. Being alert to danger and disaster is what kept our ancestors alive from being eaten or, from falling into the ravine. That negative wiring, that negative point of view no longer serves us. And here's the good news. The research now shows that we can actually rewire our brains through simple repetition. The more we think a thought, the stronger the pathway for that thought becomes in our brain. So it isn't a matter of just letting go. It's a matter of showing up and practicing. The more we think a thought, the easier it becomes to think. The more we think a thought, the faster it becomes a habit. And the more we think a positive thought, the faster and more effectively our brain responds positively. Like any other skill, like any other new thing, this takes practice. And that's all it takes. Now, I don't want you to be discouraged. The research shows it takes about 10,000 repetitions of a thought to wire it into our brains. But I like to think about this rewiring, this practice of positive thinking, much like doing push-ups and sit-ups to strengthen your body. If you're ready and excited about strengthening your brain, you're going to practice these positive, uplifting thoughts. The more you think them, the stronger your brain, the happier and calmer you're going to feel. It's that simple. It's about practicing the positive. It's about practice patience, and persistence just showing up. You can bring a sense of peace and calm into your life right now by beginning to reframe your thoughts. You can right now start to let go of those old, scary thoughts and replace them with upbeat, loving thoughts about you and your world. And let me just say, let me remind you, this isn't a magical thinking, hoping, wishing idea. This is hard work. This is showing up 10,000 times with one positive thought. And you can start right now. It's about doing it as often as possible throughout your day. It's about doing it when you wake up before you go to bed. It's about doing it over and over. Not a sprint, a marathon. But it begins with the first step. I believe absolutely reframing has the power to change our lives one new thought at a time. Now, if you're as fascinated and interested about reframing as I am, I actually have 2 chapters on reframing in my book, Common Sense. And again, if you're interested, the links to getting your copy as soon as possible will be in the show notes. And I would really like to see you at my party. Thanks so much for joining us today. And if you'd like to be a part of the Anxiety Connection, please subscribe. Until we're together again, I wish you peace, joy, and love.